Good evening. Welcome to the Canby City Council regular meeting, March 6th, 2013. If you will please stand for the Pledge of Allegiance and a moment of silence, please.
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Please stay standing for a moment of silence for our men and women overseas. Thank you. Before we move into communications, just let everyone know that the council here had a early evening work session here at 6 o'clock with the police department. They were updating us on some technology aspects to the force that they want to implement and are implementing. I want to thank them for the update, and they're doing a great job with doing all they can to keep Canby safe and maximizing their resources as best as possible too. So thank you for that. Some really great things coming down the line. In fact, we're going to hear a piece of that this evening. So thank you to that. Thank you, Chief and officers, for doing that. With that, I'll turn it over to. Do we have any communication pieces at all?
I have none there.
Okay. So our first opportunity for citizen input and community announcements. If you want to fill out a yellow card and come up and talk to us, please do. Right now, to the podium, please, Judd Palmer. If you'll come up here to the front there and. Hi, Judd.
Hello. So I'm representing Freedom Hearing Center and wanting to propose a household battery recycle center in Canby. I'm opening my office to be the location for that. I've spoken with the Oregon City Recycle Center, Metro Center, Jim Quinn, the hazardous waste manager, and found out the requirements that would be accepted for batteries. So wanting to know who to talk with to get that started or to get that broadcast. Because I believe there isn't currently a place in Canby to recycle household batteries. So
That is correct.
Are you talking about like the small AA, AAAs, hearing aid batteries,
Yes.
flashlight batteries of that sort, but not?
You don't want car batteries.
not car batteries. No.
Yeah.
Nope.
I think it's a great idea. Yeah.
I talked with him. He said the like hearing aid batteries, the new ones have zinc in them, but that's still a hazardous material. The old ones had mercury. Some still do. And then the alkaline batteries are not as hazardous to the environment per Jim Quinn, but that would still be something that would be good. People feel good recycling batteries. So I can tell you some more details as far as, do you want to hear more details now, or would that be another meeting?
Turn to you, Greg, to find out what steps we would need to do, or if that's.
Yeah, actually there are steps. I think the first one would be, we can do it, or Judge can pursue this, is talk to our franchised waste hauler, and that would be Cahoots, and they're our recycler also. And I'm not sure what the benefit to them would be of doing recycling, but of the batteries, but they have to. They are our recycler. They would be the ones to take care of that. And I think one of the problems has been a receptacle or a receptive place.
Right.
And I appreciate Judd stepping up and offering his location. And maybe other businesses would do that also, so we'd have more than one location. We could have one here, but the idea is to make sure that our franchisee, Cahoots, will make sure they pick them up. And I think they would be required to do so.
Well, that's my question. Judd mentioned this to me at Rotary meeting a week or so ago, and I thought it was a fantastic idea. But that would be my question. Once you accumulate a box of batteries, what are you going to do with them?
So what I would do is take them to the Oregon City location.
Okay.
I can take 35 gallons, and it only costs $5. The requirement is that they have to be household batteries, so every time someone comes in to deposit their batteries, they have to write their name and address, and I'll present that to the Oregon City location so that they can verify that these are from households. So in other words, I can't accept batteries from businesses. They have to be from households. And I would take a load much smaller than 35
I was
gallons
going to
of
say, that's
batteries.
7 5-gallon buckets in your car wouldn't do that.
Yeah, right, right. So I would probably just take one box, or 2 boxes at a time.
Yeah.
And then I would, most likely, if there's a way to be compensated for that somehow from the city, that would be nice. It's not a big cost. I'm not sure how much of a response this will bring, in Canby, so. But I think it's important to have Canby have its own, recycling. And also this can lead to perhaps a discussion about having a recycling center or a hazardous waste center here in Canby that would bring jobs, bring more traffic to Canby as well. So just an idea to throw out there as well.
Okay.
Well, I think it's worthwhile if Judd and maybe work with you, Greg, and talk to the Cahoots, because I know currently the only way you can recycle those batteries is you physically take them into Metro. I mean, we have a little box that's over our wash machine that, hearing aid batteries and flashlight, AA, AAAs, they go in there until we get a box, and then when we're in Oregon City, we take them down and drop them off. With Cahoots at this point, I don't believe they have a recycle program for those specifically. And you throw them in the trash, and that's what they're trying to do, is not have them go into the trash, into the landfills. And so maybe together, that maybe Judd can establish the receptacle for them, and then Cahoots can take them and handle them properly and
Sure.
take them off your hands, so you don't have to take them in. So
I think that's where the dialogue probably needs to occur, then maybe Judd is reaching out to Cahoots, and I'm sure either Greg or Bev has contact information that
they're easy to find.
Yeah.
They're nice people.
they're
They answer their phone even.
great family. Yeah. But I think it's a great idea, Judd, and
Okay.
if there's anything else that we can do to help, smooth that road to happening, let us know, and when you get it up and running, we'll come back and,
Help promote it.
we'll help promote it.
Okay, great, thank you.
Yeah, thanks, Judd.
Thanks, Judd.
All right, any other citizen input? Ms. Doolittle? You don't have a yellow card.
I don't have a yellow card because Judd just brought this attention up. So, thank you for your offer of this, Judd. This is great. The chamber has the annual Shred Day coming up, and I think this would be another great benefit to be able to add to Shred Day, along with the electronics and everything else. The Lions are always there, and they take the glasses and, those kinds of things. So if we can add this to our list also, so that twice a year people know that they can bring these batteries and stuff then to the Shred Days, this would just be another benefit, which is what we're trying to do.
In fact, Bev, and I was thinking of this, Judd obviously was talking about the batteries, and I don't think he's prepared to handle them, but the next great problem of recycling is fluorescent bulbs, because of mercury and the chemicals in fluorescent bulbs.
Yeah.
And now that have fluorescent bulbs in our reading lamps, and, and not just these overheads, but we've got under-counter lights, we've got 4-foot, 8-foot tubes, 2-foot tubes. That's a problem of disposing of those. You can't really. We used to break them and put them in the trash, and we didn't know we were letting all this mercury and all this stuff out. So that might be an opportunity at Shred Day where we can take fluorescent.
Yeah. I'll work with Judd and find out more of his specifics, and then get together with Julie and Fred and see what else that we can do. Shred Day, as everybody knows or should know, we've been getting phone calls at the chamber office now for almost 2 months. People saying, when is this day coming up? So it always is around when it's the community cleanup week, which this year Shred Day is Thursday, April 19th. So that's the week of the community the community cleanup week that Cahoots, do for us. We're very privileged. Not every community has this. So for them to offer this, to the citizens here, it's a really big benefit to us. So we appreciate it. And then being able to have the Lions come to Shred Day and take the batteries, the cell phones and that kind of stuff there is great. And if we could add this again as another benefit, that would be perfect. So,
Yep.
Counselor Parker, we would love to have you commit to coming again that day and being out there and helping pass things out or introduce and get people through. It's a big, the April one is a big event.
Yeah, I was impressed at how many
Cars come through.
visiting we were all day
Yeah.
when cars come
Uh-huh.
through.
And what's the time on that, Bev?
Noon to 5,
Noon to 5?
in the event center parking lot.
Yeah, I think, wasn't it last year we sent 2.5 trucks back to Cahoots of the shred truck?
In the
Yeah.
April one,
Yeah.
yeah. And the October one is getting to be just as popular,
Yeah,
so.
great.
So watch for further information. I'll work with Judd on this and talk to Cahoots and see what else that we can come up with. Maybe for the fluorescent bulbs and stuff too. People know that they can drop them off there twice a year, then we'll see what we can do about that.
Yeah, yeah, I mean, that would be, because, we have like cabinet lights in the kitchen.
Sure.
And once you get, it's only that big, but now what do you do with it? Because you don't want to break it, and where are you going to store it? For how long are you going to store it before you go to Oregon City and hand it to the guy at Metro? Or,
Yeah.
I think it's a great opportunity.
Yeah.
And we are, I would agree with what Bev said, we are absolutely blessed to have a family-owned disposal company in our community that has the community spirit that the Cahoots do.
Yeah.
It's phenomenal. I mean, there's very few communities that have the free pickup day a week we have every
Right.
year, where you can take whatever and leave on the curb and have it hauled off. Not many places have that.
No.
One of the most amusing weekends.
Yeah,
Every
Yeah.
recycler in Portland metro area comes into town to pick the
Sure.
night before, but
yeah.
all the metal items are gone.
Oh, it's less cake we have to haul it.
Well,
There
but
you
that's
go.
where they make
Yeah.
money, though. That's how they cover their costs.
That
And
is true.
And
It's-
I will throw out the disclaimer, because my understanding is once you put it down on the curb, that becomes Cahoots property.
That's right.
So if you're out trolling around the neighborhoods looking for scrap metal, that's theft, right, chief?
That is correct.
All right.
It's correct, and
Thank you, sir.
that's the shame of it, because that's how they cover some of their costs, is because
Oh,
they can
sure.
recycle the
Yeah.
metal or
Yeah.
whatever materials. They won't take the broken the street side recyclers will not take the broken TVs or the mattresses.
No,
They
yeah.
will take the things of value.
Yeah, definitely.
Yeah.
Well, Bev, thank you
Okay,
for
sure.
helping
Yeah.
out with this, yeah. Any other citizen and community announcements and input? All right, seeing none, I will move into mayor's business. Just a couple of things on my end. Recently attended City Day at the Capitol with Councilors Hensley and Councilor Ryder. We got to hear the League of Oregon Cities positions on over, I think, 20 different bills to start with. And that's only a small sampling of the 2,500 bills that were being introduced this session. Thankfully, we didn't get a debriefing on all of them. We also had the opportunity to visit with Representative Kennemer's team and Senator Olson, so that was a nice trip down to Salem for that. I want to thank Penny and the library for their Dr. Seuss celebration and the start of the Civil War series. So if you're a history buff, go check that out. I had the opportunity to introduce President Lincoln. Steve Holgate dressed up as Abraham Lincoln, and he fit the part perfectly. And it was very well attended, and people asked some very pertinent questions of Civil War time, so I thought it was pretty neat. If you missed First Friday, you missed out. It looked to be very well attended. It was a nice evening to be out on First Friday here in March, so stay tuned for April's activities. And then I just want to remind the council, review the value and goal stuff from our goal-setting session to finish up, hopefully, our work session on the 20th that we'll be having. So that's all that I have. And we're going to start at the other end and with Councilor Ryder tonight with liaison reports. No report. Okay. Thank you, sir.
I'm good tonight as well. Thank you, Mayor.
All right.
Mr. Mayor, I attended the Iwo Jima Memorial that we had at the Canby Adult Center and attended the city-county dinner in Tualatin, where we got a debriefing on the legislative session from Senators Devlin and Representative Parrish. And on the Canby utility front, they have started to pour concrete for our new substation. So it's starting to come together. And that concludes.
Great, thank you, sir.
Mr. Mayor?
Yes, sir.
This past Friday, I attended a council training session in Central Point, Oregon. There were approximately 23 of us, and it was very informative, and very happy to have gone to that. Also, I attended a Main Street program. I'm a volunteer in that as well, and we discussed murals, and I presented some pictures of some of the murals in St. Paul, where I grew up. On the local feed store, they have some murals that are in keeping with the farming heritage of the community, and so they're doing some research there. We also discussed some facade improvements, possibly identifying a list of buildings in the community and maybe informing them about some of the options that are available. One of the key things that we really focused on from listening to Nan Lawrence at the library was a discussion on what are some of our magnets in this community where people really like to flock to visit, and certainly the new library will be one, and there's many throughout the community. But when we look at Canby, and then we look at places that you enjoy to travel to and think about some of their magnets, it can maybe help us in identifying the right pieces to add. Let's see. Also wanted to let everyone know that this Saturday is the coronation for the Clackamas County, at the Clackamas County Event Center here in Canby, the main pavilion. It's a coronation dinner and auction. It's a lot of fun, and it's this Saturday. You can get tickets at the fair ticket office prior or the day of the event. That's all I have.
Hey, Councilor. Councilor Hensley.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. I also attended the Iwo Jima flag ceremony, and I missed the Main Street meeting, so I'll have to catch up with Councilor Coleman on that, because I was also at the Capitol that day. Also went to CCA dinner. Seems I was following Councilor Dale around this week. And first Friday, I have to say, there was two different corners I was standing on and had passersby make mention of all the people that are downtown. So it was a very busy first Friday. It was nice that we had wonderful weather and it brought people out. So it was kind of nice to have people wonder, what's going on? There's a lot of people down here tonight. So that was kind of fun. And I also went with Councilor Ryder and Councilor Ayers to observe court on Monday. That was an interesting morning. And chamber luncheon I attended yesterday, and that is my activities for the last couple of weeks. Jesus, kind of busy. Liaison report, there is a school board meeting at the Meridian Room tomorrow night, 6:30 p.m. Topics of discussion will include the 2013-14 budget status, all-day kindergarten, and the transfer procedure updates, among other things, but those seem to be the hot topics. And a community announcement, the Canby Legion will be having community breakfast Sunday morning, 8:30 to 11:30. That's my report this week.
Thank you.
Thanks. Councilor Hensley mentioned the couple of us attending court, and it reminded me that maybe a lot of the public doesn't know, but there are 3 employees in the city that report directly to the city council, and that's the city administrator, the city attorney, and the city municipal judge. And so we make at least annual visits to the court to observe our judge in session. I try to go twice a year, just to sit and listen to the arguments or pleas on citations primarily. Same old story every year. Although this is I think I went 3 sessions in a row over a 1.5 year period, and the same person was there each time pleading for more leniency, and that person wasn't there this time. So that was a change. But also, this was, we at least Councilor Hensley and I observed citation hearings in the morning and then came back in the afternoon so we could observe our city attorney try a case, actually. And it was a DUI violation, and it was quite interesting. So that's why we were there, to help us ascertain and perform a performance evaluation, soon to come. My only other report tonight is at the last meeting, there was discussion about the Molalla Adult Center, Senior Center closing, and what was the impacts on the Canby Adult Center. And so I met with Kathy Robinson, the director of the Canby Adult Center, and asked her what impact is happening here in Canby. And she told me that actually very little. Evidently, the Molalla Center had been declining in service over a period of time for whatever reason, budget or whatever. And so there wasn't the activity level, anywhere near the activity level that we have here in Canby. Although the only and the biggest impact is that there are approximately 40 people in the Canby in the Molalla community that relied on Meals on Wheels, and it is a burden for Canby people, volunteers, to deliver meals to go all the way out to Molalla and south, and wherever they go to where those 40 clients are. So the Adult Center and some churches in Molalla are talking about how can they help, so the meals probably would be prepared in Canby, and then the Molalla church people, civic organizations would collect them and take them out and serve those 40 people that rely on Meals on Wheels. So that's the main impact, and they're dealing with it and working on it and trying to find a solution. So things are fine.
Well, thank you for following up on that, and sounds like they're working it out,
Yep.
so that's good. Thank you.
And I'll just add, we're blessed in this community to have people of Kathy Robinson and her staff's caliber. We have one of the most active adult centers in the area. I mean, the volume of Meals on Wheels and congregate dining and the activities that they have within the center are just stellar. So very, very good organization.
Very much so. Great. Thank you, sir. Okay, so moving to the consent agenda piece for this evening.
Mr. Mayor, I move for approval of the minutes of the February 20th, 2013 City Council work session and regular meeting.
Second.
Everybody pauses.
All right, so it's been moved by Councilor Dale and seconded by Councilor Ayers to accept the consent agenda, which includes the approval of the minutes for the February 20th, 2013 City Council work session and regular meeting. All those in favor?
Aye.
Passes that 6-0. All right, moving into resolutions and ordinances. Kim?
The first item we have is Resolution 1152. This is adopting the 2013 revised version of a document entitled Canby Area Transit, City of Canby, American with Disabilities Plan. And Greg Ellis will present this item.
And thank you, Mayor. And in your packet, you have a staff report by Julie Whaling. And basically, this is an update that has to be done on an annual basis. We have to have an ADA plan, and if there are any changes, those have to be identified. And the only changes we have to this ADA plan is the amount of service, which has been reduced since the last plan was adopted, and there's been a $1 fee, a ridership fee. So those are the only changes to this plan, and so I'm asking council to adopt this plan as amended.
Yeah, Julie did a tremendous amount of, I know there wasn't much changes, so it pretty much carries over from last year, but
Yeah.
a lot of work goes into this plan, so
Yes.
thank her for us for that. Questions or comments of City Administrator? All right. I will entertain a motion then to adopt the resolution.
Mr. Mayor, I would move adoption of resolution number 1152, a resolution adopting the 2013 revised version of a document entitled Canby Area Transit, City of Canby Americans with Disability Plan.
Thank you. So motion made by Councilor Ayers and seconded by Councilor Coleman to adopt Resolution 1152, a resolution adopting the document entitled Canby Area Transit, City of Canby Americans with Disabilities Plan. All those in favor? Passes 6-0. Thank you.
The next item we have is a Resolution 1153. This is approving a City of Canby film and video production policy. Renata Engelberg and Jamie Junk will present this item.
Thank you for making time on your agenda for this topic. The City of Canby was approached by Clackamas County to partner with them on a countywide film and video program where the purpose is to make it very easy for video production companies to come to the county or any of its cities and film either movies or video productions or commercials. And this is a growing industry in Clackamas County. They've been proactive on this for a year or more now, and it's really gaining momentum. In fact, it's an award-winning program. And with us today is Jamie Jonkin. She's here to explain the Clackamas County part of it.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor, City Council, for having us come out and share with you some additional information on the Clackamas County Film and Media Production Program. Clackamas County has been getting to know thyself, as we like saying at the county. Renata remembers that phrase from when she was there. And looking at our industrial sectors to find out really what's working in Clackamas County, where our strengths and weaknesses are in industry, and what types of industry sectors we should really be focusing on to grow and foster. And in so doing our due diligence on looking at the types of industries, we found a really exciting and innovative new key cluster in Clackamas County, and it's in the film and media production end of it. So we started focusing on this, doing our outreach, taking a really solid look at what does film and media production mean to Clackamas County, and we started crunching the numbers. And we determined that, or we didn't determine it, the numbers are all there, that the film and media industry adds to our annual GDP in Clackamas County alone $212 million annually. And it has a direct impact on Clackamas County of 4,791 jobs. Great impact. Now, when we talk film and media production, it's not just all movies and commercials. It's also publishers, motion picture, video, sound, recording. So it's really looking at the industry as a whole. Some of the types of businesses that you might be familiar with who fall into this category is hot off the press here in Canby area. They're a publication company, and they fall into this category, as does Dark Horse Comics in Milwaukee. They are a graphic novel, comic book manufacturing and production facility, but they also do movies and a lot of huge productions and toy productions. It's amazing what they do. And then one of our largest traded sector industries in this particular cluster is a advertising company out of the Lake Oswego area. So it's a really vast, different types of industries, but really exciting opportunity for Clackamas County. So when you look back and you think what films have been actually produced in Clackamas County, you take a look at some of these on here, and these are just since 2008. It's pretty impressive. Leverage is actually was housed in Clackamas County. Electric Entertainment has a studio in the Clackamas industrial area, and though Leverage only filmed here from 2009 to 2012, and unfortunately TNT did not pick the production back up for this year, but they are going to be bringing another pilot and an additional movie to Clackamas County. So really exciting opportunity. And of course they film not only all over Clackamas County, but also in the Portland metropolitan area as well. Grimm is housed in downtown Portland, but it's done the bulk of its filming in some of the rural and outlying areas in Clackamas County. They spent a significant amount of time this season in the Sandy area, so a little plug for Grimm. I guess it starts again this week. So you'll see a lot of Clackamas County in this production. They did a lot of filming in Oregon City as well. Gone was a feature film production that was filmed out in one of the Clackamas County parks, out in Eagle Fern Park. Really, again, an exciting opportunity. You watch it and you're going, that looks like a Clackamas County bridge, and sure enough, it's Barton Bridge in that production. But it's amazing to see how these productions can transform a community. The first picture up on top there, just a little pointing work, this is actually downtown Estacada, where an episode of Leverage was filming, and they completely brought a whole production in downtown Estacada, and it was such an exciting opportunity for their Main Street to be featured. Twilight actually even filmed a lot of its segments out along the Carver area. So we have great opportunities in Clackamas County. I was telling Renata a little while ago that we actually have had multiple commercial shooting here. I was in Boring over the weekend, and they were doing a Coca-Cola commercial. We had a person call today for a athletic gear commercial. So, I mean, it's really a tremendous opportunity for Clackamas County. So where we've been so far with this, Catherine Comer, our manager of our Business and Economic Development Department, has really been working on a lot of the development aspects of this program, and we've been really doing our outreach, doing our due diligence, reaching out to those producers and those production companies, saying, what can we do to make filming in Clackamas County more user-friendly for you? And though we we don't have big production budgets like Louisiana and British Columbia and places like that have. One thing that we can provide them is a process to make their lives a little easier. They like filming in multiple locations, and right now a lot of our jurisdictions around Oregon has a permit for every city that they're working with. So what we decided that we would do was we create a unified permitting process, and we proposed this to our Board of County Commissioners, and they adopted an ordinance establishing policies and procedures in November of last year. It was really a great opportunity for them to kind of get a look at what the industry means to Clackamas County, and also to carry this on to our communities. They created a model ordinance for us to carry on to each of our communities. We are in the process of creating our unified permitting process. I brought a one-dimensional copy of it for you tonight to take a look at online. But what we are working with our technical services department on is to putting this all online, so a production company can log on to a website which will be hosted with all of our participating communities, click a few buttons, determine where they want to film in Clackamas County, and we're all notified, and it's all one-stop process for them, which is amazing. Nobody in the country is doing this. So we've already received one award, so we're going for our second one. And then Clackamas County is also committed to updating our Real Scout location database. Through the Governor's Office on Film and Media Production, they have a database with some really outdated information in it. They have locations in there that don't exist anymore, or the photos are outdated, or there's new owners. And we've committed to actually keeping that database alive, working with your local chambers and economic development professionals and Main Street professionals on getting those opportunities to film in your own local communities. So this is just on a one, and I think you have a copy of this in your packet as well, just to kind of give you an idea of what a unified permitting process would look like. A production company could come and click on which areas they want to film in Clackamas County, whether it's Canby, Estacada, Molalla, Lake Oswego, or a county park. And they fill out a certain amount of information, they get the information on their insurance, and then they click submit, and for each community then they would indicate when they're going to be filming, what they're going to be doing, putting together kind of a work plan of where they're going to stage. Are they going to have pyrotechnics? Do they need to block streets? Do they need fire protection? Do they need police protection? And then each of the local jurisdictions then would be notified of what's going to be taking place when and where in their communities. Clackamas County is going to establish the online application. Each of the jurisdictions will be notified, and each of the jurisdictions then will also issue their local permit and collect any fees that are associated with the application process. Clackamas County wants to do this as part of building the industry for our region, but we're not assessing or collecting any fees for these services. We want to do this to build the industry and to provide this service to our communities. So it's really up to the local jurisdictions to establish the fees and issue the permits. So what we're recommending the next steps would be for all of our local jurisdictions is to adopt the county's model of either a resolution in your case or the ordinance, the policies and procedures, which again we kind of provided for you, and then tailoring them to fit your individual needs. Develop a local fee where applicable. If you're going to assess fees, we really want to make sure that we know what those are, so when we have them linked online, we have all the information, again, at the fingertips of the prospective producers. Assign a local point of contact. This is really important, because if we don't have somebody to be notified whenever we get a lead, it kind of just goes out there in the zone, you know? It's like we need to have somebody who's going to be your local contact for this industry, and then work collaboratively with Clackamas County to promote your community and your film locations. We really cannot get out there and saturate all of our communities in this very big county of ours. So that's really where we are with our process.
So I'd like to follow up on what we've done after we learn more about this opportunity. We pulled together a meeting with our local team. We met with the representative from the fire district, the police department, the road department, our Main Street manager, and our planning director to see how we might implement this here. And to their credit, they all wanted to be very flexible and business-friendly. They didn't want to charge fees up front. They wanted to have a business license filed and paid for at a minimum. And then if there are extraordinary impacts about police protection or closing streets or that kind of thing, it would be on a case-by-case basis depending on how long the shoot would be and how big the impact would be. So that's the way the ordinance is written that you have before you today. The next step would be, assuming that you approve this, that we would develop a website that's very film and video friendly. We'd reach out to our local businesses that are in the film and video realm to make sure that they want to be promoted to film and video companies. It could be caterers, it could be locations, it could be lots of different aspects of the industry, so that there's a one-stop shop for film and video production companies when they come to Canby. You'll also have the forms and all of the logistics that we would require, so that would be the next step. So with that background, I'm happy to answer any questions. Otherwise, I'd encourage you to consider adopting the resolution.
Well, first off, I want to thank you for this. This is, you brought that to the, or this piece to the quick response team for the business recruitment piece, which was great to see. And Jamie, congratulations to you and Catherine for your award from the governor. I think that's pretty impressive with the work that you've done. So I think this is great to see this expanding across the county. So my question is how does this position us against the surrounding area around the Portland metro area?
Well, I think with the collaborative nature of what we're proposing here, it's setting us in a really good position. We already have received a lot of attention for this unified process, because really one of the biggest challenges with our production companies is the multiple steps they have to take. We already know there's no parking in downtown Portland, so the more we can draw them out of Portland to film is the better.
There's less than no parking.
I'm sorry?
Yeah, there's less than no
Less
parking.
than no parking, and it's expensive to
Yes,
film
it
in
is.
downtown Portland.
$3.60 for an hour and a half.
So when we can provide this assistance, make it easier for a production company, make it all available in one place is the key. I mean, we've had some of the site locators tell us, oh, we were trying to figure out where to find this information. They had to go to 4 different places on one of our communities, who I won't mention, but one of their websites, and they finally had to talk to 2 different people, and nobody really knew. They didn't film in that community. It was an opportunity lost for that community. And it's really not only a chance for a community to get the production value of it, but also it's an opportunity for you guys to kind of work collaboratively around an exciting industry and really build some strengths in that as well and promote it. Make it work for your community. You got a production company rolling in, open up the doors, you know, get your businesses involved.
What, so for us here in Canby, who is our contact person, Renata?
That would be me.
Okay.
And if it's Main Street related, it would be Jamie.
Okay. Any other?
I've got a question, and Renata and Jamie, it's good to see you again. It's been a long, many years. I think you've answered this, but when I read through the proposal that you sent in our packet, I had a question. And where you're talking about unified fees and guidelines, and that the film people do not want to require user or application fees, park reservations, things. It sounded to me like that we were asking for maybe waiver of fees and license costs and whatnot, or might be in the future. But my concern was if a film production company, for example, wanted to come and locate in our industrial park and put up a production facility, a soundstage or a warehouse or something, and if, in that case, they would go through our normal permitting process.
Absolutely.
Okay, so
This
we're
would, this would be pertaining only to them producing a commercial or a film on the streets of Canby or
Sure,
on
okay.
somebody's property.
Okay, great, thanks.
Quick question?
Yes.
I just want to make sure, in reading the ordinance, maybe this is more for Joe, a commercial photographer, say, shooting senior pictures in the park and such, they're exempt?
Well, reading it about their exemptions down here.
Yeah, I didn't see
I
them
don't
explicitly.
see where that would be exempt because it says not for private use only, not commercial use, and that would be a commercial use. Although, my understanding is if they're taking pictures in the park here in Canby, in the city of Canby, they have to get a business license because
Yes.
it's a business, and that's all this is requiring anyway.
Okay, so no extra permits for them to worry about?
Well, I think they would probably have to go through the permit process. I just don't think there's a cost to it.
Well, what
Is
if,
what it sounds like.
the local photographer taking
I'm just
a
senior
senior
shoots.
picture on the steps of Waite Park gazebo?
Right.
They have to get a permit for that?
I would hope not.
They're not closing the park, so
Okay.
anyone can take a picture in the park.
Okay.
Okay.
So the clarifier you're looking for is it wide open, or if we close the park, that's when the fee or
Right, I'm just,
those would kick in?
right, just shooting senior pictures wherever, sure, they have to have a business license, I just didn't want them to have to go through this permit process for every kid they want to do a shoot.
Sure.
Well, I would assume it
Well, that's a
depends
revenue.
probably on what their plan is, right? If they were coming in for some sort of special plan, like, I want to cordon off this whole street,
Oh, sure.
you know, so we can have a fake parade to take a picture,
Right.
so that they can be leading it, that would probably rise to the
You
level.
have to pay the
That would
Would be my
$50 fee.
assumption.
Closures and
That'd be one heck of a senior picture.
Yeah, it'd be a great senior picture, wouldn't it? Leading the parade.
Yeah. Anything else? Thank you.
Jamie, it's good to see you again. It's good to see some energy behind the promotion of our film and video. Been a couple of years since we've seen that coming down from the state. At one time, they did have a very current series of photographs of the communities, and that was one of the things that I wanted to ask Renata about, that it, not just a website that shows what we have here once a person decides to get here, but for us to be able to have our images in the film and video office. We've got some terrific opportunities with our fairgrounds, with Canby Grove, with the Canby Wedding Chapel, some things that could be turned over to a film and video production company that are unique to this community. But getting those glamour shots up and into the eyes of site location scouts, that's the part of it that I'd like to see some attention on. And it is exciting for a community. As a young staffer to Gresham's mayor, I was given the 24-hour phone to a Hollywood production company and got a call at 1 a.m. and they wanted to saw down a stop sign because it was in the way of a shot that the producer wanted. And so I called her Public Works and said, put up a temporary stop sign here and let them saw down a stop sign, so they got the shot that they wanted. So that was my brief fling with Hollywood.
Well, I know that updating the databases is very important to our department, and we actually have an intern starting on Monday who will focus only on updating our Real Scout database, and then we'll continue to work with photographers to get the projects updated. So what I'd ask Renata and her team to do would be, and then Bev as well, is to identify locations that would be film-worthy. And we have a form that we would request that we have filled out, giving us permission then to send a photographer out. And it's kind of that hold harmless type of liability issue. We want to make sure we have the property owner's permission to go out and film it and then post it on a public website.
So, Renata, could you pull your team together to do that? I mean, the team is you, isn't it?
We have actually a pretty good photo library already. We've been working away on a sunny day, and It's always a nice assignment on another sunny day to go out and get more, so we're happy to do that for the team.
You do have some volunteer photographers out there in the community.
I'm sure she has quite a few in town.
Some actually have cameras.
Yeah.
I just had one.
Even fewer know how to use it.
Yeah, my only question did revolve around hobbyists, which mostly got answered in the exemptions here. But there's a few YouTube stars here in the room. Now, say we were to make some crazy video of dancing through the streets again and put it on YouTube, how would that affect this type of resolution?
Well, that wasn't a commercial production, so it probably wouldn't fall under.
So anybody who
this
wants to make a
umbrella.
crazy video and put it on YouTube doesn't have to deal with this?
Before 7 a.m. on a Saturday
Well,
morning.
Between 7 and 10.
Don't close the streets.
Don't close the streets and they're good?
Sweep up your
Okay.
popcorn.
One challenge we had with that is there was a production from MTV, it was one of their reality TV shows, that was filming outside of Milwaukee. And they did not have a process in place, Clackamas County just adopted this, and we did not have a process and incorporated Clackamas County in place to where they needed to fill out a permit or notify anybody that they were filming there. So we got a phone call from a very distraught young woman who had said that these people are invading my space, they won't let me go in my building, they're blocking my driveway. So there was no recourse for this young lady other than calling the local law official. So we're hoping that at least, even if there's no fees attached and there's no business licenses or anything other than the fact they fill out an application form, so we know they're filming. It's great documentation to support our evidentiary numbers we've identified in our industry cluster. It's great for us to know who's filming and where they're filming, and great promotional opportunity for our communities. But it also provides that little bit of understanding, say, well, these folks really need to contact us. We don't have an application on file. So that way, if this instance was to come up again where there was a problem like that, we would have had some type of recourse at least. But in this particular instance, there is no recourse other than the police.
Any other questions? All right. Well, thank you, ladies, very much.
Thank you.
So I'll entertain a motion to accept this.
Mr. Mayor, I move adoption of resolution number 1153, a resolution approving the City of Canby film and video production policy.
I have to stay because I have to take
It's been moved by Councilor Ayers, seconded by Councilor Coleman, to adopt Resolution 1153 and direct staff to begin work implementing the program in partnership with Clackamas County. All those in favor?
Aye.
Okay. Passes 6-0.
Thank you very much.
Thank
The
you,
next
ladies.
item we have is ordinance 1370. This is before you for second reading. It's granting to Lightspeed Networks, Inc., a non-exclusive franchise to construct, operate, and maintain a telecommunications network and provide telecommunications services within the city of Canby.
Great, so, yeah, thank you, Kim. So second reading, so 2 weeks ago, we had LS Networks present to provide telecom or broadband here in Canby. Part of the discussion was the request by LS Network to install aerial versus going underground. And that was the request that we pretty much said, no, not going to happen for that piece. I think that was pretty clear. And so I'll just open it up right now for any further questions or comments on this one. Okay.
I'd like to point out that Ellis is LS.
Oh.
It's not ELLIS.
Right,
Ellis.
LS, pardon me. Did I slur my words?
No, it
Okay.
kind of comes out Ellis.
Lightspeed Network. All right, thank you for clearing that up. Care to make a motion?
Mr. Mayor, I move that we pass ordinance number 1370, an ordinance granting to Lightspeed Networks, Inc., doing business as LS Networks, and Oregon Corporation, a non-exclusive franchise to construct, operate, and maintain telecommunications network and provide telecommunications services within the city of Canby, Oregon, and declaring emergency.
So it's been moved by Councilor Hensley and seconded by Councilor Dale to accept ordinance number 1370, an ordinance granting to Lightspeed Networks Incorporated, doing business as LS Networks, an Oregon corporation, a non-exclusive franchise to construct, operate, and maintain a telecommunications network and provide telecommunications service within the city of Canby, Oregon, and declaring an emergency. All those in favor?
Roll call.
So roll call.
Sorry, pardon me. Thank you. Roll call. I was all
Counselor
excited.
Ayers?
Yes.
Counselor Hensley?
Yes.
Counselor Coleman?
Yes.
Counselor Dale?
Aye.
Counselor Parker?
Yes.
Counselor Ryder?
Yes.
Perfect, thank you. I was really excited just to get all that film talk, you know. Who knows who'll come to Canby. All right.
Okay, the next item we have is ordinance 1371. This is authorizing a contract with Advanced Public Safety, Inc. for the purchase of e-ticketing hardware and software, as well as maintenance and support services for the Canby Police Department. And Chief Smith and Lieutenant Trow are going to present this item.
Well, we'll try to make it quick, but in October of 2012, Canby Police Department was given an opportunity to pursue a grant. It was a grant that was provided or sponsored by ODOT and in partnership with the Oregon Department of Public Safety Standards and Training. And it was a grant opportunity to pursue e-ticketing and e-citation. And in a basic explanation, really, it's an electronic way to print a paper copy on site, but then electronically being able to take that traffic information, violator information, and be able to electronically transfer that from the records department of the police department to the court. And it's going to give us an opportunity to have less duplication, marry the court and the police department as far as the work and the efficiency that is done in a much better form and fashion. And in the past, to get started, it has been a very expensive endeavor to be able to do that. And so we went and pursued a grant opportunity and received that grant. It was a $61,500 grant that was awarded to us. Our share of that, or a portion of that, was about a $6,500 contribution to obtain that full system. Some of the neat benefits of that are the things that I talked to you about as far as electronic processing of that, legibility, being able to capture data and be able to use that data and share it, as far as trying to track or understand traffic-related violations or patterns or accidents of that type, also tracking of violators and different things. The particular program that we'll be using will be a program that's used by the same vendor statewide. So we'll be able to share and exchange information with other agencies across the state. Currently, as my understanding, there's about 28 agencies that use this particular program or system. We will be one of those that will be an additional member now. There's quite a criteria that was listed for us to be able to qualify. But one of the qualifications of that was that agency that was applying for this grant had to demonstrate at least a commitment to traffic safety, as well as documentation reporting of traffic crashes. And Canby was able to do that. And I think that's something to be to speak very proudly from that perspective. So with that said, we assigned that to Sergeant Tim Green, who really pursued that, who filled out an application, who went to the meetings, and followed up with the requirements of reporting that were needed for the application, and to its conclusion. And as a result of that, we were awarded that grant here recently, and we're in the process of implementing that. This is obviously the first place that we'll start with the approval of the ordinance to get those funds moving.
And one thing to mention real quick, this is a reimbursement grant. That's why it's in front of you.
Yes.
So we pay the $68,000 for the software and the equipment, and then we get reimbursed the $61,500 from the state.
Correct. Thank you. Yeah.
This fiscal year, same fiscal year?
Yes.
Correct.
So with that, that's kind of an explanation if we have questions. And I would like to at least stand up here and recognize Tim Green, Sergeant Tim Green, for doing that. He did a very good job, and it's a lot of work to apply for grants and to make that happen. So publicly recognizing him and thanking him and congratulating him for our department, it really puts us in a good position to get caught up at least from a professional standards perspective or technology-oriented police department to be able to do that, and that's really the trend where things are going, and this is our first step toward that goal. So, Tim, I really appreciate the work that you did. Thank you.
Thank you, Tim. Any questions for Chief at all?
Any questions for Tim or anything?
Mr. Mayor, I would like to thank the sergeant. My favorite type of money is other people's money. So, thank you for going out and getting the grant, and Chief for bringing us into the electronic age. So next time I get a ticket, I'll be able to read what's on it.
Read it and get it much faster.
Perhaps we could have Sergeant Green come up and kind of just briefly tell us what the process of the grant application, what you had to research and do to get that. We need that up here on the mic.
Yeah, that's a good idea.
And on camera. They'll put the fuzzy dot.
He's been looking forward to the opportunity.
Chief assured me I wouldn't have to speak today, so.
Oh, well.
Brought some documentation just in case, though.
Chief lies.
So, Sergeant Tim Green, Canby Police Department. Like the chief brought up, this was initially brought forward. ODOT is trying to get all agencies on board for this. Basically just for records-keeping purposes, information sharing. And one of the ways that they were able to do that is procure some grants from the federal government to share with local police departments. That information came out to us. Basically, it was just the filling out of paperwork, asking for the grants, and the city's commitment a little bit to show our interest by throwing some money forward as well through that grant. That's the $6,500 that we're responsible for. This is, like I said, or like Chief said, a $68,000 total fund to outfit our vehicles. So this will be available in each of the vehicles for officers out there. Which really, I'm not sure if the chief went over this or not, makes it much safer for our local officers while they're out there writing citations on the street. That was kind of my interest in this. A lot of accidents happen when officers are parked on the side of the road writing those citations. A lot of officers being hurt each year from that. This should limit the time that the officers have to be parked there on the side of the road issuing those citations. So that was kind of my interest in the grant and trying to go forward for it.
Sergeant Green, when can we anticipate those being installed in the cars? Do we know?
It kind of goes on us and how fast we can do this. APS is ready to start the process off. So they have, I believe it's about a 6-month process between getting a hold of vendors, getting things, if everything flows smoothly from our end to being able to get them into the car and going. So 6 to 8 months, I would say.
Okay, perfect.
Well, so if that's the case, though, it won't be completed in this fiscal year then. So, I mean, it's not a big deal. It's a budget transaction. You're going to expend the money this year but get reimbursed next year.
We should get reimbursed because most of the items will already be bought.
Oh, I see.
And we received, but it's not totally.
Okay.
It's the implementation, and I think that we're looking at that time frame.
Right. Okay, it's not a big deal. It's just, it's bookkeeping, though, if you slip it from one year to the other, so.
Right.
Great. Well, thank you for seeing the need and going after it. I mean, that's part of making these things happen is just the effort. So thank you for that very much. And to you guys as well.
Thank you, Sergeant.
Mr. Mayor?
Yes, sir.
I move for passage of ordinance number 1371, an ordinance authorizing the mayor and city administrator to execute a contract with Advanced Public Safety Incorporated for the purchase of e-ticketing hardware and software, as well as maintenance and support services for the Canby Police Department, and declaring an emergency.
I'll second.
Motion by Councilor Dale, second by Councilor Hensley to adopt ordinance number 71, an ordinance authorizing the mayor and city administrator to execute a contract with Advanced Public Safety Incorporated for the purchase of e-ticketing hardware and software, as well as maintenance and support services for the Canby Police Department, and declaring an emergency. Those in favor?
Aye.
Passes 6-0.
Okay, the last ordinance we have is ordinance 1372. This is an ordinance amending the Canby Municipal Code, Chapter 2.64, regarding the Bicycle and Pedestrian Advisory Committee. And Angie Leonard is here to present this item.
Good evening, Mr. Mayor and Council. So the info in your packet should be pretty self-explanatory, just a couple of minor, very minor amendments to the establishing ordinance of the Bike and Pedestrian Committee, and as the committee's staff liaison, I'm presenting it to you, to council, and encourage council to contact me or go through Councilor Parker for any further input on the committee, and kind of, I think right now with the new committee member, I'm formulating a to-do list, so welcome any input about the committee, and just wanted to clean that ordinance up and get it to read the way they wanted it to. So, any questions?
Seems pretty cut and dry to me.
Yeah.
I don't have any questions, but I thought it interesting, their perspective, to them, the most important sentence, if you will, was buried down in the
Right.
ordinance and putting it up at the top, so it's focused. That's cool. It makes sense.
And I think some of the members didn't even realize that there was an establishing ordinance, so that's the other thought, so.
It's amazing what happens when you ask the question, why are we here?
Yeah.
Can be asked for a lot of things, I think. Well, great. Any other questions or comments for Angie at this point?